At the time of the writing of this script, I still haven't finished the game. Well, I didn't finish the game according to my own definition. A finished game for me means that I explored everything or almost everything there is in the game, and an indicator for that is to get every achievement there is for the game. With this game, I got so desperate that I actually contacted the developer, or at least tried to, and I talked to a player that actually finished the game, but after 21 hours of playing this game, which is clearly not made for 21 hours, I'm just exhausted. Playing this game, I moved through so many emotions like anger, fear, sadness, but now I just reached utter apathy. I'm not even sure if I can do this, honestly, but I'm going to try and try to be honest with everything I say. Let me introduce you to anxiety. The term anxiety disorder refers to a specific psychiatric disorder that involves extreme fear or worry and includes generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, and panic attacks, agoraphobia, social anxiety disorder, selective mutism, separation anxiety, and specific phobias. Anxiety pretty much encapsulates what the game is about. Well, it encapsulates some aspects of it, but I would say the name fits the game very well. It did scare me a lot. I had a lot of panic, and maybe I had a panic attack at some point, which caused me to scream. And my neighbor actually had to come up and tell me at 2 o'clock that I was way too loud. Now let me introduce you to anxiety. Right after starting up the game, you're greeted by the menu screen with a big emphasis on menu. Your only options for now are pressing the enter button or choosing the language. This menu is clearly missing things like volume, graphics options, credits, and the quit button. These are essential things. A quit button is the bare minimum that should be implemented in such a game. Of course, you can always control the volume from the volume options of your operating system, but it is really not my job to tab out of the game, change the volume on my OS, and tab back to the game. And the only thing I can change is the master volume. Maybe I want music louder, but the enemy silent, or vice versa. Graphics options don't always refer to how the game looks, it also refers to the application size as well. I personally don't have a problem with playing in full screen, but sometimes you just want to play in windowed mode 1280 720p. You can't do this here since there are no graphics options. Credits aren't essential and they actually appear at the end of the game, but it is always a nice inclusion when the dev shows some love towards the people who developed the game, even if it was only one person or himself. I think I don't need to say why a missing quit button is a bad thing, do I? It doesn't mean you can't quit the game. You can quit the game by pressing escape and then pressing the red X button on the now resized window, but it's just inconvenient, and in this game's case it can lead to some problems. Should you exit the game the way that I mentioned before 2 times in a row, the game will lock itself. Why? The game doesn't actually closes when you quit the game with the X button. What you actually want to do is hover over the taskbar and close the application from there, or open the task manager on your OS and close the process. If you're wondering where the anxiety.exe process is, there is none. The application is actually labeled NW application or NW.exe. This game is written in Node.js. I will not talk about this too much, but I'm somehow confused because either the game is written in HTML and JavaScript, and those are not the standard tools to develop a game. And I fear that is the reason why there is no menu. And when you finish the game, you can't come back to the main menu because it's a process and not a program. This is not a great start, but we're here to play games, and how do you even play this game? Well, after launching up the game, you're greeted by some nice eerie music and some nice menu art with a big play button in the middle, which you can click. Okay, no problem, just press enter. And you might not realize that you started a game because the game slowly fades to black and then it starts. It is just a small thing and it really doesn't matter, but it personally bothers me. After the game starts, you are greeted by some nice pixel art and what I assume is a cutscene, which is skippable if you press any button at all. So most people will be greeted by some nice pixel art and a tutorial. The cutscene will tell you that your name is Mary and you launched a weather balloon, so I assume you're a scientist. You call your boss Andy and tell him to pick you up with a helicopter. The helicopter had a hitch, meaning it literally caught on fire, and he tells you to stay at the nearby mansion for the next 3 days. He decides to be a dick by telling you that he will take out those 3 days from your vacation plan, which is not cool, man, not cool. I said hitch instead of problem because this is one of many grammatical errors that I will encounter. The developer is Russian, so in this case I have to give the whole thing a pass and he can understand everything even with the errors. I'm just going to mention this once because I think it doesn't diminish the value of this game, but it is important to know going into the whole experience. Mary proceeds to walk off screen and enters a tutorial in which it will teach you how to walk, jump, kick, and use stuff. Walking is bound to E and D, jump is K, kick is J, and using stuff is L. Kick is J, and jump is K. Do you see the irony? Do I have to point it out for you? I don't think so. And using stuff is L, using. Everybody knows use is E. But the question is there a way to rebind the keys? Because, normally we use space for jump, E for use, and F for fighting, or in this case, kicking. Well, no, because the game has no options, like I mentioned before, and I will mention again. But there is a solution. Play the game with a controller. Our Xbox controller seems to be the best choice, since all actions are mapped to the face buttons correctly, and moving works perfectly fine with the knobs. Either way, you move through the tutorial and enter the mansion. Well, you break into the mansion technically, since you have to kick the door in, but it's empty anyway, so is it really breaking in? Entering the mansion will trigger a voice that says welcome, or Mary is saying welcome to herself. It doesn't really matter because you might miss that small soundbite, and sometimes it just doesn't trigger, but it shows me that the dev put some love into this game. Adding such small things into a game is really not that common, and when I notice them, I really appreciate them, and it actually really shows me the developer did actually care about their games, even though they have no menu. Either way, moving on, you find a letter on the ground, you read a letter that tells you that a nearby hospital was robbed, and you enter the main halls, wander around, and you should stop the video now if you wish not to be spoiled. Normally I would spoil everything without warning you, since I think spoilers are a ridiculous concept, but I want you to suffer. And for you to suffer, you need to go into this game blind. So, here's the last chance to suffer. Alright, let's begin. This game has an actual day and night cycle. Time literally passes. During the day, it takes around 30 seconds per hour, and during the night, which will start at 9 o'clock, well, that is when things get wonky. Throughout the building, there are these high-standing candelabras, and you have to light them up. Why? If you don't light them up, time will not pass during the night. Lighting candelabras can be a chore, since your lighter might or might not turn on. Yeah, this is an actual game mechanic, and I kind of like it, but it will go away in a moment, so it is ultimately pointless. Light more of those candelabras, and time will go faster. Have no candelabrum lit, time stops. The first night allows you to solve your first puzzle, or in this case, challenge. On the second floor, at the left end of the floor, there is a cog on a shelf. You get up there by jumping on a table, then on a closet, and jumping from the closet onto the shelf. If you have some problems getting up there, you can use the jump kick technique. Just jump normally, and right before the climax of the jump, just kick. This will extend your jump a little, making the whole thing easier. Go to the room on the left side of the hall, find the music box with the ballerina on top, and tap that use button twice. The box will now vanish. Go to the room next door. Now you can jump on the closet right beside the door using the jump kick technique, and jump on a shelf on the left side of the room also using the jump kick technique. Why is there a shelf? I don't know, but it's here because the music box vanished. Now you can do things the easy way or the hard way. Walk to the end of the shelf and kick, or try the jump kick technique again. It should be on the shelf that is located on the left wall. Get the golden sphere, drop to the ground. There should be a golden cube on a cupboard. Grab that too. Leave the room, go to the 3rd floor, you will find a weird statue. Walk up to the statue and a door will unlock on the 1st floor. So go to the 1st floor, grab the key from the new room, and you should be able to open the door on the left side of the hall. The night is over so far, so you just should try to survive. By survive I mean try to light the max amount of candelabros. Night 1 is mostly harmless. It is quite easy to survive since there is only one enemy that can really harm you, one that might harm you, and one that doesn't harm you. Tentacle face, that looks like a grey human, will just walk from side to side, and if you touch it, you will die. Tentacle's face will despawn after a certain amount of time. I'm not really sure if you look at his back, he will vanish, but it seems sometimes that way. The angler is a small thing that when attacked will kill you, and the exploding vampire is a vampire that will explode and spawn head crabs. They jump around and make a really annoying sound. They will not kill you immediately, but they will disable you and slow you down if they manage to attack you. If enough of them attack you, you will die by exploding. The last enemy is a ghost child. This child will blow out your candles and she makes some creepy noises. This enemy is pretty pointless, but I think it's important story-wise. I have a little bit of advice for the first and every other night. There's a door in the middle of the first hall. Don't forget to go in there and light those candles. You tend to forget that. Most candles in rooms stay lit, so once you light them up, you don't need to check them out very often. Should a candelabrum be directly under a blood dripping source from the ceiling, just kick the candelabrum out of the way and then light it on. Should be 2 candelabrums, one directly behind the other, try to kick them consecutively so they disband, and then you can light them up individually. Let's move on to the second day. Can you do something during the day? Not really, except on the 4th and 5th day. Gladly, there's a bedroom on the 2nd floor. It is the second to last room on the left side of the hall, so you should go to bed right now. Yes, going to bed is an actual mechanic, and even though this is not an RPG, I think it's a good choice, because if you didn't have a bed and you couldn't go to bed, you would have to wait until night falls. So, night 2, you should go to the 1st floor and walk to the left end of the hall, and you will see some nice looking candelabrums. How do I solve this problem? Are there any clues or anything else that could point out the solution? As far as I know, there isn't, but there's only 9 combinations, so it's basically full moon, new moon, and then crescent moon, or left, right, then middle. Door opens, go in, get the key, and move to the 3rd floor. Open the door on the left side. Look at this, a golden lighter. What does it do? Your lighter will always fire up on the first try. It's a nice upgrade, but it also makes the lighter mechanic pointless, so I'm torn on the whole thing, because on the one side it makes the game flow better, but it also removes a game mechanic that made the game harder. You should now concentrate on surviving, because there is nothing more to do as far as I know. Night 2 is, well, not difficult, but a little bit challenging. The enemies Golden Mask, Floaty Head, and Meatman appear. The Golden Mask looks like a big, ugly human with 3 arms. His behavior is frustrating. First, he has the ability to knock down your candelabrums, basically prolonging the night for no reason, pretty much like the Ghost Child. This enemy will run towards you and kill you on touch. So here's the enemy's moving pattern. Run all the time and knock down candelabrums, see you and stop that in its tracks. After a second or 2, storm towards you. This behavior can lead to a lot of deaths. You might ask why, and I will tell you why. When you are standing, your character is in the center of the screen. Moving will place your character at 1/3 of the screen, on the left or right side of the screen, depending in which direction you're going. This gives you a really short reaction time, since you have only 1/3 of the screen to see the enemy, recognize the enemy, and make the right choice. This wouldn't be a problem, but on top of the weird camera positioning, enemies appear randomly. So you're running in one direction and suddenly an enemy spawns and lands on you because you couldn't see it since you have only 1/3 of the screen. The game tries to circumvent this problem with directional sound, but it doesn't eliminate the problem entirely, because the random element is still there, and randomness increases the problem in later nights. Either way, you have to jump over the golden mask because you can only avoid this guy. It will continue running, stop, turn around, and repeat the process of running towards you several times. How long? Well, it depends on where you are, but you can jump 3 to 4 times over the golden mask until it despawns. I don't know why it stays for so long. It's just annoying since the enemy can spawn several times during one night. One jump or 2 max over his head would make the enemy half as annoying as it is. The meat man looks like a meat spider and just walks from side to side, and you can kill it by kicking a candelabrum towards it. Floaty head, well, floats around and is mostly harmless, but you shouldn't touch it because it will disable you and slow you down. So in combination with the golden mask or the meat man, it will kill you. Meatman and floaty head are mostly harmless, well, after the 100th time from running directly at the meatman. Anyways, let's move on to day 3. Is there something to do? Not really, so you should go to sleep for now. During the 3rd night, you should go to the 3rd floor and you will discover a new door at the end of the hall. Should you enter it and pass this new corridor, you will find a new room and also a dead body. I think we should burn it. No, literally, you light the body on fire. Well, what is left of it. And Mary proceeds to say goodbye to Howard. Wait, Howard? Yeah, even if you don't pick any letters, Mary still says goodbye to Howard. If you were collecting the letters and reading them, you would know that by now, but I didn't mention it on purpose. So I could point it out that this is a mistake and a bad game design choice. Can you tell that I have a problem with some design choices of this game? Can you tell? Well, collecting the letters will reveal that a family lived in this mansion with a maid, a woman, and her child. The child got sick, allegedly. The wife got sick, allegedly. The maid got tired of all that shit and left. The brother of the woman's husband then began to take care of the family. The woman, named Eliza, wrote to her husband, Howard, begging him to come back, but apparently he didn't return until his wife Eliza and child Amy died. The reason why he didn't return is not told to us, but I assume that this guy Howard was a famous painter since he asked his brother Victor to take care of his paintings. Howard was probably on a tour and didn't receive the letters and therefore didn't return to his mansion. Coming back to his home, he found out that Victor, his brother, took care of his family, but unfortunately they died because they were very, very sick. Allegedly. The question remains, why the mansion is haunted? I mean, didn't they die because they were sick? Why should they stay? They have nothing to avenge. Right? Right? Well, night 3 gives you 2 new enemies. A knife that spins and stops and flies towards you. You can kick it as long as they are spinning. They are annoying and deadly, especially if you're slowed. The other enemy is the magician. Weirdly enough, I like this enemy. But if you don't know how to handle him, it might be a death sentence. A very annoying and slow death sentence, but a death sentence nonetheless. Stepping close enough to the magician will disable you and slow you down. The magician then begins to spin 2 oversized cards that he will hurl at you. You have to move away from him or you will die, because those cards move quickly. Or a golden mask is coming towards you, or a knife is flying towards you, or you get the point. Things want to kill you and they will kill you because the camera position is weird and enemies spawn randomly. But I already mentioned that earlier, so I won't mention it again, but just be sure that you will die. It doesn't matter how good you are. Anyways, to completely avoid the magician, just turn on your lighter and get very close to him. The magician will dash backwards and vanish, but don't turn off your lighter when he moves away, because he will stun you again, and the cards will spawn, and he will kill you. Survive the night because there is nothing more to do during the 3rd night. Day 4. You can leave the mansion now and finish the game. Just go to the 1st floor, go through the door in the middle of the hall, and walk to the left until you leave the mansion and reach the landing pad. A helicopter picks you up, allegedly. Credits roll, you will see that you only got 3 of the 4 secrets. Well, guess we have to do it again, right? Wait, why is the menu not coming back? Enter, face buttons, every button on the controller. Oh yeah, escape. Now the window is small, but there's no menu. Well, just close the game, right? And open up again. Okay, load game. Where's load game? Oh yeah, there is no menu. Wait, there's no save. Oh, there's no pause button too. Oh yeah, forgot. There's no menu. You have to play the game in one go. Exiting the game will reset everything. There's no way to save or load. Want to pause because you're tired or just want to continue on the third night tomorrow? You can't do that. Computer crashed on the last second of the third night. Well, just do it again. Accidentally pressed escape. Oops. Not frustrating. It's not frustrating at all. Can you tell that this is a mistake? Again. And a weird game design choice. Can you tell that I have a problem with this? Can you tell? Well, night 4. What do? I don't really know. I know how to survive the 4th night, but even after surviving, it doesn't do anything. There is nothing to discover or solve. Day 5 has nothing to discover or solve as well. I don't know how to get to the last secret. I tried everything. I tried to inspect everything and use everything, but nothing happens. Hey, it's future me, before the rewrite but after I found out to finish the game. Big thanks to American Beetle who helped me out to finish this game. I owe him one. The developer actually answered my question on how to finish the game, but it was already too late because I found out of myself. So I have good news and I have very good news. First, we got new enemies on the 4th day. One enemy kills you and the other one disables you. Like always, very much fun. The witch, or at least that is how I call her, will speed at you and claw you face out. Like the golden mask, she can't be killed, but she can be disabled. Unlike the golden mask, she continuously runs towards you, but she will also jump when you jump. So the only way to survive her long enough to deal with her is to run, wait until she gets close enough, jump and change directions. She will despawn, but it takes way longer than 3 jumps. You can run towards the door and enter the room. She might or might not follow you, but she will only follow you once, meaning that you can basically trap her in one room. Should she not follow you into the room, there is the option to enter the room and exit the room until she despawns, much like the golden mask. Depending on the situation, you can force the witch to despawn. If you have a ledge at hand, just walk off and the witch will despawn at the ledge. I assume we confuse her and that is why she despawns. The other enemy I call the Hunchback. He is either an instant disable and slow or completely harmless. This enemy will float around and should he spot you, he will attach himself to you. Sometimes, so should you jump, the effect will trigger and you will be disabled. But I don't know really if that's how it works, because sometimes it works that way and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes he didn't spot you, but he will still trigger the effect. You can get rid of him by either entering a room or passing by a door. But this will also work only 50-50, so I really don't understand how this enemy works. There is no puzzle for this night, so you can concentrate on surviving. Day 5 might be the only day that has a real secret. Kind of. No, not really. I feel like I shouldn't tell you, just to expand your suffering of not knowing what happened to Amy, Eliza, and Howard. Unfortunately, I can't do that, since to finish this review I have to tell you how to find the last secret, and I have to tell you about the story and what I think the enemies are. So, on the 5th day, go to the top floor and walk to the door on the left side and enter the room. Now, what could you possibly do in this room? your first instinct will probably be to inspect everything, right? But only the candelabrum triggered dialogue, so this is pretty much pointless. Maybe you should try to use everything. This is also pointless, since you can't use any of the objects. Okay, maybe turn on the lighter. You can't turn on the lighter during the day, so this is also pointless. Oh yeah, there's kicking, but you can only kick candelabrums and a knife. Wait, you're not telling me to kick something in here, right? Everything until now moved on its own. You can't kick any of the furniture. Kicking is more for jump extension, so the game is probably not asking me to kick anything. Right? Right? Okay, maybe kicking the candelabrum should act like a secret lever. Right? Right? You're not telling me that I have to do what I think I have to do, right? But I think you know by now what the game is expecting me to do. You might think, oh, he's just telling us all of this to trick us, right? The secret is not here. It's completely somewhere else. You have to do a certain amount of tasks and then something will trigger. Nope, it's not a joke. You have to do exactly what you think you have to do. I think you know what you have to do. I think you know. I'm spending way too much time on this, but I want to make clear how frustrating this is. I spent over 20 hours trying to figure out that on this specific day, something triggers something else that makes one object that is not kickable in any other day kickable. You have to kick the closet. I just need 1 second. Real quick. Look, it's not a bad idea. I can admit that, but it's a huge game design flaw. The game did not make clear that you could do such a thing. All the other closets moved away on their own. If the first closet had to be kicked away, it would be understandable. But this is not the case. Is there a hint that this specific closet is kickable? Not really. Is there a hint that this is a room you should look for it? No. Is there anything at all that points to this specific closet in this specific room? No. And that is the problem. I can deal with annoying enemies that needlessly prolong the night, or enemies that just kill you because enemy spawning is random. I can deal with some weird technical difficulties and having no saves, or menu, or options at all. I can deal with that kind of frustration, but this really pushes it. It really, really pushes it. This is something I cannot excuse. The only saving grace is that this is basically a secret and you can end the game beforehand, but this is just too much, especially after 20 hours of playtime. Well, what is in the last secret room? We have 2 letters and a corpse. The letters reveal that Victor envied his brother Howard. He was probably the one who stole the viruses from the hospital and kidnapped the children in the area. You can kind of piece that together by the 2 police reports that you can find around the mansion and Victor's reveal letters themselves. Victor reveals that he was a psycho and did something to Howard's family. So here's what I think happened. Amy got sick on her own and died a natural death. She's the ghost child. Since she doesn't kill you, she's pretty much harmless, not angry at anything. She just wants to play, and that is what she does. The Meatman, the Golden Mask, and Tentacle Face are probably a few of Victor's many experiments with the viruses. The Hunchback is probably Howard, since he is also harmless and the only enemy floating like his body from the ceiling. The Witch is probably Eliza, since you can see that the witch has violet hair, pretty much like the picture on the wall. And the reason why she's angry is that the something Victor did to Howard's family is not only experimenting on them. So just think of something bad. It's probably that. The knives I don't know. Maybe it's Howard's consciousness again because he wants to cut down something. The knives are pretty much a mystery to me, as well as the Hell Hand. I didn't mention the Hell Hand because it's not important, and most people will not encounter it because it only comes around when you're just standing around all the time. Well, let's quickly move on. Now we can burn Victor's corpse. Mary tells him to burn in hell, but he's already dead, so you should be already burning in hell, except if my hypothesis is correct and Victor is the magician, then it would make sense because by me burning his corpse breaks the course, which is indicated by the picture on the wall being restored to normal. Anyways, now you can leave the house and never come back. Or you have to play it again, like me, because you have to get footage, or you forgot something like a mystery. Let's wrap this up, shall we? I like this game. I got you now, huh? Yeah, you thought I would say, oh, I hate this game, bad game design choices, so bad. Sure, there are some problems with the game that I already mentioned, like the missing menu, or pause button saves, and the fact that you can soft lock the game by closing the way it was intended, the enemies being randomly spawned, you having a wonky camera, enemies being able to prolong the night for no reason, and of course, the last secret. Yes, the last secret. But there is a lot of good things around here. The story is kind of interesting, I assume because you have to piece it together. It is weirdly fascinating. Everything looks great, from the furniture to the enemies, and weirdly enough, the outside of the windows. And the lighting. Yes, this game has lighting. Who would have guessed? A game about lighting candles has correct lighting. And there's some weird attention to detail, like the welcome soundbite when you enter the mansion, or the fact that the floors had different colored wallpaper. The child's room has flowered wallpaper, and any other room seems to have at least something to discover. You can see also a lot of paintings around the house too, that Howard probably painted, and they might change depending on the night. I assume one painting is probably Victor, because it changes during the night 4 sometimes, showing a bunch of skeletons trying to grab him. That is pretty cool. And weirdly enough, really a small attention to detail. I can only recommend this game. Yes, there are some huge game design flaws and they can be game breaking and frustrating, but I really like this game. And the game did entertain me. Maybe not after the 25th hour, but for a good amount of time. The game is solid to a certain extent, and it can be really challenging as well from time to time. It actually does capture this anxiety about surviving the night, which can sometimes turn into frustration. But like I mentioned in the beginning, the name actually does fit the game, and it costs less than $1. You should try it. I hope you enjoyed the review. I actually did interview the dev, and I posted an interview in a Steam community tab. I hope you check that out. Everything is linked in the description. You should like, sub, ring the bell. You know the drill. Take care of yourselves and have a nice day.